It was a late evening when I received a strange phone call. The voice on the other end was unfamiliar, low, and urgent. "Meet me at the old bridge in an hour. Don't bring anyone, and don't tell anyone," it said before hanging up abruptly. I had no idea who it was, but something in their tone sent a chill down my spine. I wanted to ignore it, but a strange curiosity tugged at me. I grabbed my jacket and left, my mind racing with possibilities. What did they want from me? And why the secrecy? As I approached the bridge, the silence of the night seemed unnaturally thick. The faint sound of the river flowing below was the only noise breaking the stillness. I stood at the entrance, scanning the area for any sign of the mysterious caller. The wind rustled the leaves, and I felt the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. A shadow moved in the distance, making my heart race. I couldn't see their face, but I could tell they were waiting for me. The figure slowly stepped forward, and my heart skipped a beat. Who was this person? "You're late," the voice said from the shadows. It was the same voice as before, but now it sounded even more ominous. The figure stepped closer, and I finally saw their face, half hidden in the darkness. A tall man, dressed in all black, his features sharp and intense. "I didn't want to involve you, but things have changed," he continued, his eyes never leaving mine. I opened my mouth to ask who he was, but before I could speak, he raised his hand. "I know you have questions, but they'll have to wait. First, I need you to trust me." I stood frozen, unsure of what to do. Trust him? I didn't know this man, and yet his urgency was enough to pull me in. "Trust you? Why should I?" I asked, my voice trembling slightly. He didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached into his coat and pulled out a small envelope. "What's this?" I asked, eyeing the envelope suspiciously. He handed it to me with a grave expression. "Inside is something that will change everything for you," he said, his voice low. "But be careful. There are people who would do anything to get their hands on this." I hesitated before taking the envelope. The weight of it felt heavy, like it carried something more than just paper. The man watched me carefully, as though waiting for something. I tore open the seal and pulled out a photograph, but it wasn't just any photo. It was a picture of my family, my parents, my brother, and me. But there was something strange. My brother was standing next to a man I didn't recognize. The man was smiling, holding something in his hand. The more I stared at the photo, the more questions started swirling in my mind. "Who is this man?" I demanded, looking up at the stranger. His face was unreadable. "That's someone you don't want to mess with," he said, his voice tense. "He's part of something much bigger than you realize." I felt my heart racing. "What do you mean? What does this have to do with me?" I asked, the confusion in my voice clear. The man sighed, clearly weighing whether to tell me more. "You're involved, whether you know it or not, and you need to get out of this, before it's too late." His words hung in the air like a threat. The air around us seemed to grow colder as I tried to process what he was saying. My mind was a blur of questions, but the man's next words stopped me cold. "Your brother is in danger. The man in that photo, he's not who he seems. He's dangerous, and he's after something that belongs to you." My stomach twisted. My brother? What could he possibly have to do with anything? "What do you mean he's after something that belongs to me?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The man hesitated, then spoke slowly, his eyes never leaving mine. "Your brother has something that can destroy everything. You don't know it, but it's connected to your family's past. You've been kept in the dark for a reason." My head was spinning, and I felt a wave of dizziness overcome me. "No, that's impossible," I said, stepping back. You don't understand. There's nothing my family is hiding. The man's eyes darkened. You don't know everything, do you? You never have. The truth is buried, and it's time you found out before it's too late. His words cut through me like a knife. I needed answers, but I wasn't sure I was ready for them. What should I do? I asked, feeling a sense of dread wash over me. The man stepped forward, his face inches from mine. You have to find your brother. He's already in too deep, and you're the only one who can help him. There's a much bigger picture at play here. If you wait, it might be too late to save him. My mind raced as I tried to understand what he was telling me. But how do I find him? Where do I start? I asked, feeling lost. The man gave me a hard look. You have to trust me and follow the clues. The man handed me a small key, the kind you'd use to open a locker. This key will open a locker at the downtown train station. Inside, you'll find the next piece of the puzzle. But don't tell anyone. You can't trust anyone right now. I took the key from him, my hand shaking. And what about you? What happens next? I asked, looking back at him. His face softened slightly, but there was still an edge to his tone. I'll be watching from the shadows. If you need me, you'll know where to find me. With that, he turned and disappeared into the night. I stood alone at the bridge, my heart pounding. The key felt like a weight in my hand, heavy with the promise of answers I wasn't sure I wanted to hear. Slowly, I made my way to the downtown train station, the quiet streets stretching before me like a maze. The key seemed to burn a hole in my pocket, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every footstep behind me sent a jolt of panic through my chest. I couldn't stop now. I had to find the locker, but I had no idea what I was about to uncover. When I reached the train station, the familiar clatter of trains and the scent of old newspapers filled the air. I walked through the station, my footsteps echoing off the walls as I searched for the locker. The place was empty at this hour, the perfect setting for something to go wrong. My fingers brushed over the cold metal of each locker until I found the one that matched the key. I turned it, and the lock clicked open. Inside was a file, thick with papers. I pulled it out, my hands trembling. What secrets would I find in this file? The file was full of documents, some old, some recent. The first page was a photograph of my family, but this time the man in the photo was not a stranger. It was someone I knew, someone I trusted. My father. The shock of it hit me like a punch in the gut. My father had been involved in something dangerous. I flipped through the pages, piecing together the history of a secret organization that my family had been part of for generations. And now, it seemed, my brother was caught in the middle of it all. You're too late, a voice said from behind me, making me jump. I spun around to find the same man from the bridge standing there, his expression cold and unreadable. You should have listened to me, he continued, his tone hard. Now your brother is in grave danger. The people you're dealing with won't hesitate to kill him if they have to. My heart sank. I had no choice now. I had to stop whatever my brother had gotten into, but I wasn't sure how. The man stepped closer, his eyes scanning the file in my hands. It's not too late, but it will be soon. What do I do now? I asked, clutching the file tightly. The man didn't answer right away. Instead, he glanced over his shoulder, as if checking for anyone watching. There's a safe house, a place where you and your brother can hide. But it's not safe to go there alone. His words were sharp and urgent. I'll take you there, but you need to understand. This is bigger than you think. If you're not ready to fight, then turn back now. Once you're in, there's no going back. I felt a surge of determination. I couldn't turn back now. I had to save my brother. The man led me through the dark streets, his footsteps swift and sure. I followed closely, my mind racing with questions I didn't have answers to. But no matter what, I had to find my brother and stop whatever was happening. As we neared the safe house, a chill ran down my spine. The air felt thick with danger, and I knew we were being watched. The door to the safe house creaked open, and I stepped inside, ready to face whatever was waiting for us. This was the beginning of something much bigger than I could have ever imagined.